Hello everyone, this is Yamin and welcome to Web Knowledge. In this tutorial, we are going to see input forms in HTML. A lot of time in online, you will see you have to fill up some forms like you have to give your name, email, password, or select something else. So this is what we are going to make in HTML. So for making those input field, we have a tag called input, which is this one. We will use this same thing for a lot of different kind of input field. Just the only different thing will be the type and the name. For example, here let's say input type equal to text, and here if we save it, then if we just refresh our browser, here you can see we have an input field, and here you can write anything over here you want. Okay, and let's say you want to make an input field for password. For that case, you can do that as well. Let me just copy it, then I'll paste it over here, and here instead of input type text, we're going to say over here password. So right now if we save then refresh, we will have another input field, and this is for the password input field. Here we can write anything and it will show, but this is for the input type password. So here if we write anything, it is not going to show, it will show us something dots because this is password and it will hide the password. Now let's say you want to create a button for the input field. You can do that as well. For it, you just need to say over here input, and the type will be submit. And if we save, then we're going to refresh here, and here we have a button called submit. You can change the button name. For that, all you have to do is that over here you need to mention value, and inside the value, let's say add button, or we can say anything. Save, then refresh, and here you can see submit name changed to add button. We can also give some default value in the input field as well. Here you can see that in the input field, input type text, here we have name, here we can also mention value, and here we can say, let's say my name, which is Yamin. If we save it, then we will say input, in the input field we will see my name. Now there are a few more options. Now let me just show you one more thing, and that is here you can see that we have a lot of input field and it's hard to say which input field is for what. So for that case, what we can do is that we can add label for every input field. So here before this input field we can say label, and here we'll say name, and then we have the password field, right? So here we are going to say level, and here we'll say password. The button doesn't require any level, but here if we save now, then if we refresh, here we can see name, and this is for the password field. Now let's say we want to add some more option, like you see on the online, that checkbox or radio button or select option. I'll just show you one by one. After password, let me just show you the checkbox. For creating checkbox, we need to write over here input, and the type will be checkbox. Then we save it, then refresh, and here you can see we have a checkbox option, and we can also check it over here. For checkbox, we also need to mention for what we are checking the box. For example, we have a label called, let's say, red, and let me just copy this and paste it here, and after it, let's say over here blue. Save it and reload, and over here you can see we can choose or tick multiple checkbox over here, red, blue, both of them. But let me just show you right now radio button. For radio button, it's a little different because you can only choose only on radio button, not two. Let's say for input type, we are going to say over here radio, and let's say in for this radio button we are going to have a label for, let's say, age, which is 18, and let me just copy it and paste it here, 18, and this one will be 16. So let me just show you one thing. Let me just refresh here, and here you can see we have two radio button, and we can actually select both of them. But if we just specify the name in the over here, you can see for both of those radio button we have the name option. If we just mention over here age, and also over here mention age, then save it, then refresh, then we will only be able to select only one, not two. As you can see, we can only select only one of them because both of them has the same name. So we can choose only one. Either he is 18 years old or 16 years old. But for the checkbox, if you give the same name, but you will still be able to select both of them. For example, let me just show you. We are going to just say over here color, save, then refresh. You can see over here that both of them got the same name, but since this is a checkbox, so we will be able to check both of them, but we cannot do the same thing for the radio button. So after that we have one more thing, that is select option. Sometime in the website you can see that you have a few select option. Let me just show you, that will actually make it more clear. And here for select option, we are going to say over here select, and inside this select tag, not input field this time, select tag, we are going to say over here option. And inside the option, let's say some car name. Let's say first one will be BMW. Let me just copy this one and paste over here. And the second one will be, let's say, Lambo. And the third one will be Tesla. If we save, then if we now refresh over here, you can see a option over here which is BMW, Lambo and Tesla. You can select any of them. And if you want a empty option at the beginning, what we can do is that we can just have a empty over here. But instead of having it empty, we can just say over here select a option, refresh, and this is a better, actually you can see select option BMW, Lambo, Tesla. And one more thing, that is the most important thing to create some input field, and that is we always need to keep the input field inside a form. All those input field here, you can see the submit button and the input field text, all of them need to be inside a form so that we can submit all those data to our web page or to our server. So you always, whenever you are writing input field or input type text, password or anything, you always need to keep them inside a form. The form will open over here or start over here, and the form will end after the last input field. So it will end over here. Let me just show you again. It started over here before the input type text, before the name, and it ended over here. So if we save it, then if we refresh, there will be no changes, but that is required for you to submit anything to a web page. For example, okay, let me show you one more thing, and that is here you can see value equal to Yamin. Let's say over here, let's keep it empty, and you can specify something over here. Let's say required, required. If we save it now and then if we refresh, here you can see there is nothing on the name, and this time if we click on the add button, it will ask us to fill this field. If we fill this field and then click sub add button, it will not show us any error. So right now since this field is required, so without writing this input field we cannot submit the form. So we can write something so that we give the user some instruction that we need to fill this form. So for that case, what we can do is that over here we can say here placeholder, and we can say write your name, save, then refresh here, and here we can see something called write your name text over here, and if we just click it, and then we can just write our name over here. Okay, and there is just one more last input field, and that is called email. Let me just copy this one, Control C and Control V, and over here we are going to write this for email. And for email the type is always email, and here instead of in the placeholder, instead of write your name, we'll say write your email address, say then refresh, and here you can see write your email address, and there's here you can see type equal to email. It means for this input field email, you always need to mention an email. If you write something else, it will not work. Let's say over here Yamin, and let's say here Shakil, and here you can see that we did not write any email. So if we now click the add button, it will say us please include at the rate of in the email address. So but if I show, let me just refresh over here, and let's say here Yamin, and let's say here Yamin at the rate of gmail.com. So right now we'll be able to submit this because we write over here a proper email at the rate of gmail.com. So it will not cause any issue. If I click add button, it will submit it. Now there is one more, the last thing for the input field, and that is, let's say you want to upload a file or image online. For that, all you have to do is that you need to say over here input type, it will be file. If you just save it, then refresh over here, then you will see option like this, choose file. Just click over here and you'll be able to select any images from your device here. So here you can see images.png, that is the image that we select. You can select different images, different kind of file. Here you can see tree. If I click just open, and here you can see the T images over here. So right now here you can see that all the input field is on the same line, so that doesn't look really great. So for that case, what we can do is that we can use div for every specific input field. Let's say for name, we can just say over here div opening and div closing. So what it will do is that it will give the name only in a single line, as you can see. But for making it really easier, we'll just use br tag. As we already know that br tag creates a inter or creates a gap. So we'll just say over here br closing over here like this. Let me just copy it and I'll paste it on before every input field. Over here, then over here. Okay, we have two checkbox over here. We'll keep the same thing. I mean, do two checkbox in the single line. Then we'll keep the two radio button on single line, select button on single line, and the submit button on single line. Save it. Then we'll just refresh over here, and here you can see if we give a more br, it will create more gaps. So this is all about this tutorial. I hope you find this tutorial really easy. I tried my best to make it as simple as possible. I hope you learned something new, and I'll actually really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Stay tuned and stay healthy.